Secretary, a member for McPherson.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. 2015 marks the 100th anniversary of the landing at Gallipoli. This is a significant year of commemoration as we remember the fallen and all who have served and continue to serve our nation. It's a time to take stock of where we come from and what we want to be. This year, we are reminded of what we have gained as a nation and the debt of gratitude we all owe. The Gallipoli operation incurred 26,111 Australian casualties, including 8,141 deaths. While this loss of life is difficult to comprehend today, we must put this into context of a new and growing nation to truly appreciate its impact. Australia's total population at the time was fewer than 5 million, around the population of Sydney today. From this, 417,000 young men enlisted, many falsifying their age so that they could enlist and fight for their country. When the first ships carrying thousands of those brave young men approached the high coastline of the Gallipoli Peninsula 100 years ago, Australia had been a federation for just 15 years. Our soldiers did not stand on this foreign soil as Queenslanders or New South Welshmen, but for the first time as Australians. The first wave of men to arrive ashore was composed of the units of the 3rd Australian Brigade, 3 infantry battalions of men from Queensland, South Australia and Western Australia. On the 25th of April, as dawn approached, they were tasked with storming the beach and pushing inland as fast as possible. But even before they reached the beach, the bullets began. Still, they bravely pushed forward, taking on the steep peninsula amongst a hail of bullets. More than 620 Australians lost their lives on that first day. After 9 days of continuous fighting, the battalion, which had landed with more than 1,000 men, had been reduced to just 309. And yet it was in these dark times that the world was introduced to the Australian larrikin, soldiers who maintained that recognisable sense of humour under the most trying of circumstances. Private Roy Denning of the 1st Field Company, Royal Australian Engineers wrote, and I quote, "In spite of the dirty and in some cases ragged uniform covering tired bodies, the men were cheerful and laughed at their plight. My heart swelled with admiration. I thought I was justified in being an Australian. Give me Australians as comrades and I will go anywhere duty calls." New chapters to our national history were written and characteristics that have come to define us were born. Endurance, determination, courage and mateship, we proudly embrace them to this day. As Australians, we have a responsibility to ensure that the sacrifice and service of those who fought in the First World War will be remembered by future generations. We are inspired to live up to the values that our servicemen and women displayed and which have served our nation well. Values like mateship, courage, duty, sacrifice and dedication. In my electorate of McPherson, we are fortunate to have an extremely strong, tight-knit ex-service community. Our local RSL sub-branches play an integral role in keeping the Anzac spirit alive, and I'd like to take a moment now to thank each of them for their tireless work. Currumbin Palm Beach RSL sub-branch and the President Ron Workman OAM, Mudgeeraba Robina RSL sub-branch and the President James McCann, Burleigh Heads RSL sub-branch and President Chris Keating OAM, Tweed Heads and Coolangatta RSL and President Joe Russell. And I'd also like to make special mention of the RSL services held in my electorate. The Currumbin RSL Dawn service was one of a number of Anzac services that I attended on the 25th of April. This incredibly moving service was broadcast live on both television and radio. The service attracted well over 25,000 attendees and quite possibly over 30,000. And I was humbled by the incredible community engagement on such a significant day. I was also very proud of our Southern Gold Coast community for hosting this national event. I also had the honour of attending the March and mid-morning service at Burleigh Heads and the unique sunset service at Mudgeeraba. Both of these events were very fitting tributes to all our servicemen and women, past and present. And of course, many people attended the services held at Tweed Services by the Tweed Heads Coolangatta RSL sub-branch, and I thank that sub-branch for its commitment to the veteran and the wider community. Across my electorate, record numbers attended Anzac services in this centenary year to remember and commemorate the service and sacrifice of those who served and continue to serve. It was my privilege to join with the Southern Gold Coast community in these commemorations, and I congratulate and thank all involved for making these services so successful. The McPherson electorate was also able to access $125,000 for projects commemorating the First World War. The Anzac Centenary Local Grants Program assists and encourages all communities to undertake projects to commemorate the service and sacrifice of our servicemen and women in the First World War. Once again, our Southern Gold Coast community rose to the task, and I'm pleased to be able to advise the House of the following projects currently underway or completed in McPherson: a flagpole and memorial plaque at Hillcrest Christian College, a memorial at the Australian Industry Trade College, commemorative gardens at King's Christian College, support to the Mudgeeraba Lighthorse Museum to run the Telling the Anzac Story educational program, a memorial garden near the Great Hall at Somerset College, support to the Lions Club of Robina to assist in the construction of an Anzac memorial at the Robina Library and to deliver an educational program to schools, support to the Service Personnel Anglican Help Society for the construction of a First World War memorial garden, support to Currumbin Palm Beach RSL to preserve and display precious First World War memorabilia, money to the Mudgeeraba Robina RSL for the construction of a new memorial wall and First World War entry feature at the Mudgeeraba Cenotaph, and a significant contribution to the Burleigh Heads RSL to install a new First World War memorial at the Burleigh Heads Cenotaph. At 4 metres tall, the Anzac, as it is titled, depicts a soldier in the reverse arms position and is composed of 100 individual layers of stainless steel, a striking tribute to our fallen soldiers. And I do encourage all visitors to the Gold Coast and all residents to go to Burleigh Heads and just have a look at that memorial. It's just absolutely outstanding, and it looks quite different depending on where you are standing to look at that statue. It's absolutely outstanding, and I was delighted that on the day of the dedication, the Honourable Senator Ronaldson was able to be with us and to be part of what was a very special event. I'd like to acknowledge the McPherson Anzac Centenary Grants Committee, who have worked to select these special projects for our community. The committee comprised Phil Roberts, Bren Milsom, Janelle Manders and Councillor Daphne McDonald, and I thank them for their efforts. Mr Deputy Speaker, Gallipoli was a defining moment in our national history. I'm proud of our continued commitment to honour the memory of those men and women who laid down their lives for Australia, lest we forget.